We're in Athmaqam. We've just reached about 10 minutes ago, and here's a congregation or a procession of people under the banner of JKNLC Jammu Kashmir National Liberation Conference, marching through Athmaqam city or town or district capital, however you would like to have it described. So I'm gonna follow them in a second. This is the point from where they're turning around. We see the highway police or motorway police, which has recently been introduced in AJK over the past month or two, also present here and functional here in Athmaqam, the district capital of Neelam Valley. The scenery is idyllic. जनाब अस्सलामुअलैकुम, कैसे हैं? ठीक ठाक, आप सुनाएं? ठीक ठाक, खैरियत है?
आप यहीं स्टॉप करें, हमारे कुछ मजीद दोस्त यहाँ आने वाले हैं अभी। कश्मीर से आज़ाद नहीं होगा अगर हम एक नारे का जवाब नहीं दे सकते, तो दो गैर मुल्की, दो एटमी ताकतों के साथ हम मुकाबला कैसे करेंगे? कम से कम हम अगर इस वक्त नारों का जवाब न दे सके तो हमें अपना ज़मीर एक मरतबा फिर झंझोड़ेगा, क्योंकि उस पार जो हमारी बहनों की असमतें लुटी, जो हमारे भाइयों की गर्दनें कटी, जो हमारी माओं के जो आशियाने उजे, उसका ये तकाजा है कि हम अपने मारे वतन की आज़ादी के लिए एक भरपूर स्ट्रगल का आगाज करें, जिसमें गैर मुल्की अफवाज, हाँ वो इससे मत बैठी हो, हाँ वो इससे मत बैठी हो, हाँ वो इस्लामाबाद से हो, हाँ वो दिल्ली से हो, हाँ वो हिंदू हो, हाँ वो मुस्लिम हो, हम उससे ये तकाजा करते हैं कि आपकी हुकूमत, आपकी मेहरबानियां हमें नहीं मंजूर। कश्मीर की एक अपनी दास्तान है, कश्मीर की एक अपनी 5,500 साल शानदार माजी कश्मीर रखने वाली रियासत है। इंशाअल्लाह हम आज नहीं तो कल आजादी दे के रहेंगे, ये हमारा पैदाइशी हक है। मैं तमाम दोस्तों से गुजारिश करता हूँ कि नज्म व ज़ब्त को बरकरार रखते हुए कायदीन के शाना बशाना जो कायदीन का हुक्म हो उस पर लबैक कहते हुए हमारा जो सफर है ये केरन तक का है। अभी हम तमाम दोस्त रेस्ट हाउस की तरफ हम आगे जाएंगे, क्योंकि हमारे मजीद कायदीन वहाँ पे हैं।
Waiting here for others to arrive from Muzaffarabad and elsewhere.
मिलेंगे, फिर हमारा जो पड़ाव होगा वो केरन की जानब।
So there's procession of vehicles in the shape of jeeps and Toyota passenger vehicles and passenger cars and maybe a couple of motorcycles here and there are en route from Athmaqam to Keran. Keran is the point where this Milaap march will come to the focal point where it wishes to use that scene to symbolize or signify the wish and desire of the people of Kashmir, of the people that are divided into at least 3 separate entities, namely Gilgit Baltistan, Azad Jammu and Kashmir, and Indian administered or Indian controlled Kashmir. And we have with us, although Keran does not correspond to any point with reference to Gilgit Baltistan, but in this procession I understand that we have about 50 odd people who have come to AJK from Gilgit Baltistan to show their solidarity that these routes should be opened and the strict sort of structure in which many freedoms of the people living in this divided and disputed territory, disputed certainly in terms of India and Pakistan, but from the point of view of the people living in this territory, it's an issue of their national question and of self-determination and of being able to decide their future. So what we're having in Keran is, I understand, various political parties from AJK, which are led by the JKNLC, but also include contingents from the JKLF Rauf Kashmiri group. You have also members of JKPNP, Jammu Kashmir People's National Party. You probably have some sort of representation of UKPNP too, judging from some of the flags that I saw earlier on in Athmaqam. And all these people are showing not only solidarity with JKNLC, but they've also come here to emphasize this point about the long-running 65-year-old structure that restricts their freedom of every kind. And what is most notable is their restriction on freedom of movement, which still is not quite possible in the territory despite a peace process between India and Pakistan that started in 2004. So although in a limited and restricted sense, relatives on either side of the LOC can meet, but for the population by and large, it still is almost impossible to meet with their compatriots divided by that line, which many people within the divided state refer to as a bloody line, a khuni lakir. So there's a few jeeps in front, and they are heading this procession, and behind you, you will see, at this point you can only see a few jeeps behind, but there are many others which are following on behind them and not visible at this point. And I have a lot of kids here, and these people are also, many of them are local. आप सब यहाँ पे मुकामी लोग हैं? अच्छा, तो ये जो मिलाप मार्च के सिलसिले में जो आज़ाद कश्मीर से और गिलगित बल्तिस्तान से जो लोग आए हुए हैं और पार जो इंडियन कंट्रोल इलाका है वहाँ की जो आबादी है उनसे मिलना चाहते हैं कम से कम देखने की सूरत में, तो इसके बारे में आप लोगों का क्या ख्याल है? कोई आप में से है जो थोड़ी सी अपनी राय पेश करेगा? नहीं, कोई बंदा एक दो जुमले बेशक सिर्फ बोली छोड़ो, इसमें कोई शर्माने की गल नहीं है. Within the camera you'll see a lot of dust also floating.
के लिए
जी,
इस मुल्क की आवाम को जो जुल्म सुतम है इससे निकाला जाए
जी,
और जुल्म सुल्म से निजात दी जाए. यहाँ की आवाम को भी खुश रहने का हक है, कश्मीरियों का जो हक है वो किसी न किसी तरीके से दिलाया जाए और इनको किसी सियासी दबाव के, भारतीय मज़ालिम के दबाव के नीचे न लाया जाए.
सही.
हमारा हर मुल्क से, हर मुसलमान से ये अपील है कि जो भी हैं मुसलमान सब एक हो जाएं और अपने हक को ले के रहें, किसी के दबाव के नीचे ना आए, ना हम किसी के दबाव के नीचे हैं. हमारे ऊपर जो हुक्म है वो सिर्फ अल्लाह और अल्लाह के नबी का है. उसके बाद हम किसी से ना डरते हैं ना डरेंगे. अपना खून क्या, अपनी हर एक चीज़, अपना एक एक चीज़ को लगा देंगे इस वतन की खातर. ये हमारा ईमान है, ये हमारा वतन है, हमारी पहचान है. अल्लाह हाफिज़.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. Thank you. Right, there's the Neelam river flowing in the opposite direction obviously, and it flows all the way to Muzaffarabad, where it then gets merged into the river Jhelum, and the river Jhelum which then onwards, as it flows southwards, it meets with the Bangla Dam and then follows on from there and flows into Pakistani Punjab. So I'm going to take a bit of a pause because, for obvious reasons which I may have mentioned in previous video clips, shortage of memory, battery power being questionable at times when no electricity is available, etc., etc. So even though the scene is absolutely beautiful and absolutely stupendous, magnificent, mesmerizing, enthralling, and a host of other adjectives that I could equally use. So it seems that it's quite possible that a lot more cars are ahead of us rather than behind us, as it seems from what we're seeing ahead. If you look at a lot of these houses, they are wooden structures, mainly using the very high quality deodar or diyar wood. And you can see that just like in Kotli and in Zilla Punch and other parts of Azad Kashmir, the forests here have been savaged too. And just back there, over there, you can see smoke billowing straight ahead, and that also must have something to do with the savagery on this so precious natural resource that we have. Everything that we have, it depends on these trees, and the ecology, the water, the climate, the temperature, everything, it relies on keeping these trees as intact as possible. मेरे ख्याल से अक्सर गाड़ियां हमसे आगे हैं, ऐसा ही है? ज़्यादा गाड़ियां आगे हैं. Okay, so I'll just pause for a bit, but I will return very, very shortly. Some sort of announcement being made there from the Jeep ahead. I'm sitting atop a Jeep, quite perilous, but feel reasonably secure. Some of you, or many of you, will have seen some of the videos of this region that I put up on YouTube, on my channel, over the past couple of years, dating back from 2009, when I think I made my first visit to this beautiful part, this lush part of our country. familiar to riding day to day in this sort of fashion. We find it difficult to okay, there's a guy there, he's right, there's a guy there, he's trying to tell everybody to stop. There's 3 guys on that motorbike sitting, riding rough on that road, on this road even. You can see there a lot of these roads are always susceptible to landslides, and he's trying to reverse now. अच्छा क्या वजह की आने के मोड़ने वास्ते की आने? We're on the edge here. It's a very fast moving river, so the margin for error really isn't that much. अच्छा ये सही है वाकई। या पता है क्या वापस मुड़ने के बजाय अगर इधर ही रुक जाएं सही है। Alright, I'm going to take a pause and I should be back shortly because I think the bulk of the procession is still there in Athmaqam, and which may have just reached Athmaqam, the district capital of Neelam. So these guys probably want them to wait so that the procession can move in sync. I'm now sitting in a Toyota because of that initial confusion where one party gave the order for cars to start moving out of Athmaqam towards Keran. But the main party which organized this whole event, JKNLC, had yet not were not yet prepared to move. They hadn't given the order. So after that initial mix-up, we're on the move again, and we're quite close. We're very close to Keran, the point where all these various parties and members of the public from all over AJK and GB will converge and try and communicate with people on the other side. Right, okay, so slogans galore on that Jeep that just went past. The procession is building and raindrops are also falling, and you may have noticed that the sky is not as bright as it was a few minutes ago. So a lot's happening, and the procession is larger than what I had initially thought. You can see raindrops on the windscreen of this Toyota too. I'll be back shortly. They've paused once more. So, कड़े इलाके तो भाई जी?
मैं
त्रारखल तो अच्छा तो पहले केरन आए हो कदे अच्छा पहली बारी तो नीलम ने वादी नीलम में पहली मर्तबा अच्छा ठीक है कोटली सेंसा सोने पड़ोसी हैं ये जेडे क्या आने इन्हें की अपनी ज़बान च क्या आने हो पंगाटे हैं फुंगलाटे अच्छा असां भी फंगलाटे आने आ पहाड़ी ज़बान च असां नहीं पहाड़ी है कोटली सेंसा नहीं पहाड़ी तो इन्हें के इत्थे बिठालने पे Time for another pause. It's well worth showing you that snow-capped peak, which you can see not quite as sharply as one could see with the naked eye. But, and you can see kind of small strips of small glaciers, if you like, slowly floating down as the summer warms up or heats up or becomes more intense. Those kind of thin strips of glacier that you see will melt in due course over the next couple of weeks or so. Not of course if it's raining. Or it could even melt with excessive rain. That's one of the cars or the jeeps which hurriedly or prematurely began the procession out of Athmaqam as it's looking for a way of turning around and joining the procession as the procession should have been. We also see chalking of various parties, and the party whose chalking has been most prominent on this trip between Athmaqam and Keran has been UKPNP, United Kashmir People's National Party. मेरे ख्याल है इतना तक ही है। अच्छा अगर जरूरत पे तो मैं वापस आ जाऊँ बिच। Okay, so a lot of our friends are descending. अच्छा इसी मकाम पर अगर पैदल जुड़ाऊँ
कि किरण पहुंची है सर
हमारे खैर जी बिल्कुल क्योंकि और सामने रेस्ट हाउस है किरण ना और ये सामने इंडियन कंट्रोल इलाका है इतना भी कुछ लकड़ियाँ गिराई गई हैं हाँ जी
ये जब आग लगती है तो ये गिरती है
जी ये कुछ देर कुछ वक्फा पहले भी हमने कुछ धुआं देखा था So most people, as you can see, have alighted or descended from the vehicles in which they were traveling between Athmaqam and Keran, and people are now moving ahead or proceeding ahead on foot. जनाब कुछ कहना चाहेंगे आप मैं वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग कर रहा हूँ
कहना चाहते हैं कि आज 65 साल बाद नई तारीख रकम हुई है और हमारे लिए तो ईद है कि काश ये ईद जो आप देख रहे हैं वो पूरा हो जाए उसकी तबीयत पूरी हो
सही अल्लाह करे ठीक है मेरे ख्याल से गाड़ी यहीं कहीं आपको खड़ी करनी पड़ेगी नहीं और आगे जाएंगे अच्छा another pause I do apologize Assalamualaikum तुम इतने मकामी हो इधर रहने हो ये जरा पार इलाका है ये पाकिस्तानी कंट्रोल है या इंडियन कंट्रोल है इंडियन कंट्रोल है तो ये जरा कारण इंडियन कंट्रोल है इतना इंडियन आर्मी ना कोई बैरक्स या किसी में
कोई पता नहीं मैं पीछे रहना
अच्छा right what you see across there right barely 30-40 meters maybe I'm exaggerating or understating the distance okay 50-60 meters maybe but as we go a bit forward those houses or those properties across there are on the Indian administered stroke Indian control side so we are actually quite close to our compatriots living under Indian administration. Yes, a lot of our people, a lot of our public do have swear words and very offensive swear words as a regular part of their vocabulary, unfortunately, and at times that does get caught on camera. And start again. A lot of the tourists. ये टूरिस्ट लोग हैं अच्छा ये तो सारे टूरिस्ट हैं पता नहीं कितने कितने आए हैं जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम ये सब लोग टूरिस्ट हैं और कहाँ से आए हैं वाह कैंट से अच्छा ठीक है सारे के सारे कितने गाड़ियाँ हैं
ये 2 गाड़ियाँ मुजफ्फराबाद से आई हैं 2 गाड़ियाँ 3 गाड़ियाँ
अच्छा और आप लोग अभी वापस जा रहे हैं ठीक है शुक्रिया मेहरबानी So, right, that's a contingent of tourists who've come from Wakant, which is roughly 30-40 kilometers north of Islamabad, Pakistan's capital. And they are returning after having presumably come here. तो जनाब अली माजिद साहब ये सब जो आप मकान और तामीरात देख रहे हैं ये सब इंडियन ज़ेरे कंट्रोल है ठीक है तो हम बहुत नज़दीक हैं आप समझ लें कि जो फासला है वो 40-50 मीटर तक कि इतनी बारीक और इतनी कम ये कब्रिस्तान है पता नहीं ये मुकामी लोगों के हैं या इसमें पाकिस्तान के अफवाज के भी कुछ जवान हैं कि नहीं ये कोई दरबार भी लगती है ऐसे ही है अच्छा मदरसा तालीम अल कुरान हाँ या हय्यू या क़य्यूम right. The river widens out a little bit if you can capture that in the screen. But what we saw along there that I was just showing you is, as I repeatedly say, part of Indian administered territory. Now, if you look at these rocks and look at that moss growing like some sort of a positive fungi. जी? जी? Janaab?
Tell the world
Huh?
to support us here.
Yeah.
The way they supported the Berlin Wall. Yeah, right. The Berlin Wall was against the humanity, and the Kashmir Wall is also against the humanity.
Yes. So they're both similar in that respect.
Both similar.
Yeah. I don't know if you're aware, but as you just came along here, the houses or the construction that you saw across there is Indian-controlled territory,
That's right.
which is barely about 40-50 meters of river width across. And
this is worse than the Berlin Wall. You know why?
Yeah.
Because the Berlin Wall was in a place where people could not see each other.
Right.
So
Because of
therefore
the wall,
it was less hurtful.
Yeah.
This is more hurtful because they can see each other.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's right.
Every minute of their waking life, they can see each other, and yet they cannot meet each other.
Yes. Yes.
This is more painful.
Very true. So, I mean, just one last thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you must find it disturbing as a politician, as an activist,
Yes.
that India and Pakistan embarked on this peace process in January 2004. And up till date, the movement across is very restricted and very controlled. I've been across twice, and I felt like a prison inmate when the group of us from this side were crossing over the other side, and the group from that side were coming on this side.
Yeah.
So, do you not find it disturbing that despite 7 years or 8 years even of India and Pakistan moving along a more positive path. But for the majority of our citizens here, nothing much has changed. You find that disturbing?
Very, very disturbing. The first thing towards the peace process is the removal of these restrictions
Yeah,
between the people.
yeah,
Okay? Talking about peace
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything for us.
yes,
Yeah?
Yeah.
That is just bullshit,
yes,
nonsense,
absolutely.
waste of time.
Okay. Right, so I'll be taking a few more
All right.
clips from you in due course. But we're almost there. Okay. We're in